And we're returning here for round 5 with our sweet Tron deck. We've battles up to 2-2, which is obviously not a spectacular record, but we're keeping pace. And we're against basic force to Infect. Well, the draw against Infect is bad for every deck, I'm pretty sure. Hope that we don't die. That's a decent start. We really need some of our 1-mana spells. Unfortunately, due to the construction of this deck, we're a bit short on blue mana in order to cast multiples to take advantage of the fact that we have 1-mana spells. Seems like further evidence that the deck is somewhat flawed, but it's fine. We're getting stuck in. We can still do it, right? We obviously just can't respond to that because they can, like, if you try and deal 2 damage, they can just play a pump spell on it and we might just die. On the other hand, we're not getting in here with all these spells in our hand, so I'm going to end step. Try and kill this. It's certainly not actually going to happen. But we need to start working our way through the various spells in the opponent's hand. Let's say on the play, I think we might be okay this game, since, you know, if they start with this, then we turn 2 kill it, or this, we turn 2 kill this also. But as is, we're up against the wall. It's not inconceivable, however, now that we have our second blue mana, that we will be able to stall just long enough to draw an Emrakul and get them. Because we're about to go 6 poison, then we can draw play a 4th land. Go to 8 poison, then play a 5th land. Assuming, you know, we just don't die before then. Which I sort of assume we're going to, but can't have it all, right? I'm gonna remand this since, again, we're low on action. Well, there's an Emrakul. And we have a chance. They might just have even more guys or lands in their hand. I could play 2 life, but I don't feel like it. So we also need to draw. We also need to draw land, basically. So fingers crossed, we don't die and we draw land, and then that's great. Also, we really need them not to play another permanent. That would also be a disaster. Turns out there's many ways in which things are not great. We are also able to we're able to snapcast. Izzet Charm. So this is targeting Blighted Agent. So if I cast Spell Pierce, I can tap them out 2 lands. So they might be tempted to try and do that. Then I can remand it. It's not going to work out, is it? It's not. But they might be afraid to pay for it. And they might tap wrong. I mean, they might have been because they might have been afraid, and instead tried to play some other spells. But Like if you just remand it, that doesn't work either. I mean, we still have to remand it now, I suppose, and maybe we can draw a lightning bolt. That's not quite it, and as long as they remember to just play it again, then we're dead. But we almost got them. You will note that if we got to untap, I think would be great. I'll turn off my auto yields. Got to make that, maybe got to bluff that and lightning bolt slightly. Is it happening? It's happening. They didn't kill us. They were in fact confirmed as afraid. Obviously, this is all for naught if we don't draw land here. Oh, that's not land either. And I don't think there's anything we can do now. We're so close though. Is it possible that the opponent can find a way not to kill me? I don't think so. Yeah, I think regardless of what they do, they can kill us. Because we know they have Might of Old Crowther, so we can just tap out for Snapcaster, and they can do whatever they want. And we're dead. But, almost. Unless they had Dispel. You know, if they had Dispel the whole time, then that's fine. So we need to bring in these lightning bolts. Oops, not this Grafdigger's Cage. Pyroclasms, negates. Mindbreak Trap, I think, is going to be good. I think we can remove one of these. I don't think remands are stellar. And what else can we do? I think theoretically we could try and trim some of the combo slightly, because it's just way more important that we have cheap cards to interact with them than, you know, multiples of these. Because if we get to the point where we're not dead, then we have some time. But I don't know. I think we also are sort of priced into going for this. We could also take out all the combo pieces, but that doesn't seem like a great plan either. Well, let's see. I think this might get them sometimes because, you know, we have all these 1 mana things. I think that these are actually more important to us than expedition maps. This is why I trim some of these out, because we need all the colored mana available. Yeah, I think we just need to trim these, since it's much less important that we have any of the pieces in our opening hand. And all we want is mana and cheap interactive cards. And this has a shortage of colored mana, but at least we do have Bolt into Remand. 2 other pieces, which gets us some additional mana boost somewhere down the line. This is well, the element of surprise is now totally ruined, unfortunately. But it's quite easy to picture a turn where they start with a Might of Old Crowther, and then you do a Bolt, then you do an Apostle's Blessing, then you do like a Spell Piercer Remand, and then you Mindbreak Trap the stack, basically. And now they get to work out what's going on. They get to sculpt their turn with the information. And they also know that their hand is their life total, because they didn't see any of the Breach Emrakul stuff last game, so they still actually don't know that I have it. They can certainly suspect that I have it. I'm not gonna sacrifice this. I really want to draw another colored source, so and the damage doesn't matter in general. So it just slightly increased my chances of drawing a Steam Vents, specifically in the cost of 3 life, and the 3 life is almost certain not to matter. And yes, I'm totally aware that sometimes the Noble Hierarch will go all the way because of Rancors and or just become immenses and all that sort of thing, but Glistener Elf. I'm going to remand it. Remand isn't great in general. Hence I took a couple of them out. And if they replay it, then I will just snap off a bolt on it. They can obviously dispel this if they want to. Spell Pierce? Alright, that doesn't seem great. If I was them, to be honest. Since they are, you know, the Glistener Elf can now be killed. I mean, obviously I would prefer to draw a colored source here, but we know for sure that the Glistener Elf is in play, and if they don't have more guys, then that's okay. We can, in the worst case scenario, we can throw out Snapcaster Mages to block a further Glistener Elf. A Thing in the Ice. That's an interesting choice. I like it. It's stylish. Power Plant Mine. We have semi liftoff since we're not doing anything with it. I guess we're punished for not having Repeal in our deck, which is certainly a card I was looking at in the past. Blighted Agent. Yeah. So there's a sort of interesting tension there between Thing in the Ice and playing too many pump spells. Since, you know, if they have to play enough pump spells that it removes the last counter from Thing in the Ice, then it's then it returns their thing, and then they don't. It doesn't do what they want. On the other hand, I was saying about the life total not mattering. Thing in the Ice, that deals combat damage of the non-infect variety. Like it. I think we take this since we're quite far away from being killed by it. And I think we might want to Snapcast Bolt, the Blighted Agent here. It gets our Snapcaster into play, which is somewhat relevant if, you know, Thing in the Ice flips, and then we can return it to our hand. Get further use out of it. This also just makes them play a spell. Alright. Obviously, with the addition of the Exalted Trigger, that survived, but on the other hand, if you just tap out all of our colorless, then there's a reasonable chance that we would have just died. I think we might be on the Izzet-Breach-Tron next turn. We're quite far from getting anything going, unfortunately. Really needed some electrolyzers to really get going. Twisted Image on Snapcaster Mage. Okay, I think that's okay. It doesn't kill it. I'd much rather, negate Become Immense or something like that. It does remove a counter from Thingy Eyes, so I see it there. I see it. I see what's happening. Is this the post-combat another Blighted Agent? Ooh. I'm gonna loot now. Well, if this does force him to do something, we just have more information when this resolves. These aren't doing a whole lot. I think I just have to bin the Scalding Tarn. Just negate. Since then we can play Izzet Signet and then hold up negate and Mindbreak Trap in future turns. Obviously what we really need is our deck to be useful, but it's pretty far away from being useful right now. So thoughts on this deck is that it doesn't quite have enough cantrips to assemble the combo on a regular basis. The idea was that you just played as much of a defensive game as possible while everything draws you a card, but there's not quite enough spells in the deck that do that. So here I'm gonna Izzet Charm, kill it with the Exalted effects on the stack, and then I can negate if they have, like a giant growth effect. Because they knew I had a negate before, but they didn't know I had the second one. Dispel. So the counter is gone from Thing in the Ice, and I'm sort of all out of action. At least I'm taking no damage of either type this turn. That's not good. I guess I want to hold on to this in case I draw Snapcaster, then I can snap Izzet Charm. Or if they indeed bounce with Thing in the Ice. So I just need something to discard. A Pendlehaven. Oh no, that's a really bad draw. For me, that is. since it puts me on the 2-turn clock, and they didn't need to play a spell, returning everything to hand. Denying me the chance to use Izzet Charm. So that was a disaster. And Lightning Bolt. That's... yeah, the Pendelhaven really wrecked us that turn, because even if they, Pendelhaven like pump this guy, if sort of... no, actually I suppose I can wait till they attack. Never mind. It's not over yet. Okay, so they Pendelhaven this, they attack, and then with the Exalted triggers on the stack, I get to Lightning Bolt. Still really hoping for an electric. Did I yield to those at some point? I must have. So I'm gonna turn off all yields here. But he didn't actually do the Pendelhaven. So okay. Just to make sure all my alt yields are away. Remand is not anything. And the awkward thing is the opponent is clearly incentivized not to cast anything, because the Stinging Ice is here, and they don't want to activate this and play a spell, because then it, I think, all non-horror creatures, yeah. So there's no way basically for them to misplay, unless it's like a massive misplay, but they're not doing it. So it looks like we have failed to have a positive record with this deck, even though I think it's quite sweet. I think we can probably do some updates to it though, make it a little bit better, and I'll see you next time.